Oh, Neo, sleepy. Sleepy baby. You are on my crochet stuff, darling. Yeah. Oh, leggy. Leggy. Uh-oh. Okay, hi, hello, it is me again. It's been like a week, a little bit longer I think. I'm not sure actually when I last updated anything. I'm wearing my Pikachu sweater that I made a long time ago. It's good. And I'm working on my mood blanket that I am very behind on. This is it. I'm on like what? March of 2022. Don't worry about it. I am, well, hi, oh, baby, no, that is a crochet hook. You're not allowed to play with that. Oh, no. Here's the gremlin. The little baby. I'm gonna put her on the couch. What was I saying? Right, I was saying that I didn't have any updates. And then I wanted to say, because I didn't do anything. But that's not true. I did a lot. I just didn't crochet a lot. What I did crochet were 3 caps for the big mushrooms, 1 in green, 1 in purple, and 1 in black. Need to make the bodies for those. Bodies. I did a few rows on this blanket, and I think that was it. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that was it for crochet. And that feels weird because normally I crochet a lot more in like a week, 10 days, whatever it was. So what else did I do? Big event was that I had a job interview for a local little office supply bookstore combination thingy. That was very impulsive. I applied for that because I walked in to drop off a package and I saw they were hiring people for Saturdays. And I was like, I don't do anything on Saturday. This looks fun. I'll give that a go. And then that was successful. So, cool. I start tomorrow there. That's cool. I'm hyped about it. Yeah, are you also excited, Neo? You getting zoomies after being EP all day? What great timing you have. So that is a major thing that I did. And then of course I prepared for classes, did my reading for classes, did my assignments, went to the classes. That takes up a ton of time. And then I was reading a lot. I ended January on 4 books read. And then I think I told y'all about reading Icebreaker. And I distinctly remember feeling a strong need to justify why I finished that, or like why I was listening to that. And I thought about it a bit more and I really don't need to. I don't need to justify why I listen to things or why I read things. I can just read whatever I want. I don't know why I feel this way for my own reading, and then when other people are like, oh, I read something trashy, I'll just immediately be like, hell yeah, read trash. The actual reason why I read things that I would normally like not consider or think are out of my usual genres or interests is because I don't have expectations for them. And if I don't have expectations, it can only be better, right? Like if I read something and I'm expecting it to be really good, I'm going to be easily disappointed. But if I go into something, I'm like, I have no clue what this is about, or I don't think this is going to be good, it can only be better. That's why I read stuff that I usually after finishing it go, why did I enjoy that? It's because I didn't have any expectations. But currently today, it is the 9th. Is it the 9th? It is the 9th of February, so like a week past when I read Icebreaker, 7 days past when I finished Icebreaker, because I can see here on my story graph that I finished that on the 2nd of February. And now my story graph says I've read 17 books this year. So we added 12 in a week. And I'm partway through a couple more. Yeah. So after Icebreaker, I read Wash Day Diaries, which is a graphic novel about black girls or like mixed girls and their hair, and how caring for hair can be a social thing and have an influence on your emotions and like mental state and whatever. I liked it. I was very sleepy when I read it, so I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I could have. I really liked the section with the girl that went to visit her grandmother, who she was estranged from for a while, to do her hair for her. And then during doing the hair, they had like a little talk about something and they felt a lot better. And then afterwards, she got a phone call from her mom that the grandma didn't remember the visit, but it still was like impactful and stuff. So I just like when physical things are mixed in with mental things, if that makes sense, because I am very much an acts of service kind of expressing love person. So having the act of doing someone's hair for them be mixed in with a heavy conversation is very pretty and beautiful to me. The art style was really nice. I liked it. I think it was good. I did think it was a little bit rushed because it was like 4 girls and it showed something for all 4 of them, but it was only like 190 pages, and that's not a lot of pages to talk about 4 people. Then I read a little comic collection, like a hee funny meme comic collection. I Will Judge You by Your Bookshelf, because it was 2 a.m. and I was not able to sleep and I was feeling grumpy, so I thought I wanted something that looked funny. It was funny, I liked it. Then in that morning I read speed reading, like a book about speed reading. It was bullshit. It was full of shit. It didn't cite its sources, it didn't say what science something was based on. It was not a good one. I'm assuming there's better ones out there because the topic itself is very interesting to me, but this one was bullshit. Probably because I found it for free on Everand when my subscription was limited. Right, the free trial for Everand, the audiobook app. I am not continuing that. I am not paying for a subscription there. I listened to 2 books on there, and then it said, oh, you've reached your limit for the month, and then I could only read like really old stuff or really unpopular stuff. And while that's good for discovering things, it's not good. Because they say unlimited listening. That's not unlimited. So I'm trying some other services and I'll see. Let's see, after that I read Death Wins a Goldfish, which is also like a graphic comic type thing. Again, I couldn't sleep. I finished listening to Our Wives Under the Sea somewhere in between there. I spent like a few days on that because it was heavy. Like, that was dark. I love it. I rated it 5 out of 5 because I think the language used is very poetic and lyrical, and some descriptions are really good. And the topic itself is something that I like a lot. It's like descriptions of trauma and horrible events through things that seem completely normal, but also descriptions of trauma and horrible events through things that are incomprehensible. So like cosmic horror, that was used, and then also just like descriptions of people changing a lot. And then at first it was descriptions of them changing mentally, but with a little bit of physical through it, and then eventually it was a very physical thing. It was pretty. I liked it. It is not for people that are scared of the ocean though, or for people with claustrophobia. Not for those people. Because the girl, the woman, the wife is stuck at the bottom of the ocean in a submarine for who knows how long. at least half a year passed, according to the wife who was still on the surface. So a long time to be in the ocean for. And that is when everyone said I wasn't allowed to listen to any more audiobooks, besides like classics and public domain. And that's when I started looking for a different audiobook service. I'm using my free trial on Audible. I'm not very happy about Audible as a platform, but free trials are free trials, they are free. And I am listening to Remarkably Bright Creatures, the one with the octopus and the old woman trying to solve a mystery. Not necessarily together, but it's about an octopus in captivity that is aware that he is in captivity, and he's smart. And he makes a comment on the old woman that works there, and then in the alternate perspective, it is that old woman, and you learn things about her, and it's cool so far. I'm halfway in. I also read through a picture book. The number gets less impressive the more picture books and graphic novels I pull out, right? It's not that much actual reading. It was a picture book, I think. Monsters You Should Know. It's just about cute mythological creatures and then what their thing is, and I liked it. I read that right after a really long class, and it was relaxing. I read it on the bus home, that quick. And then I had a little Junji Ito moment. I was like, hey, I like horror. I'm a spooky bitch. I should read the big horror guy, Junji Ito. And this is a great example of why I read things that I have no expectations of and that I don't know anything about. So I can't be disappointed, because I was so disappointed by Junji Ito. First I read the Dissolving Classroom, and that was not scary at all. That was a little bit funny, actually. And not even that. I was reading it and I was like, wow, yeah, that sure is a thing. He could have made that a lot scarier by actually going into any of the rituals the guy was doing, but the way it's set up and the way it isn't really explained, it's not actually scary. I think the scariest thing is the little epilogue that isn't actually in the online version, of one of the girls that survived the Dissolving Classroom having to see him again. That's the only thing that I found even mildly unsettling. Besides that, I was here yeah, that's a thing. That sure is a story. Then I decided, you know what, if I'm that disappointed by how not scary it is, I'll read the thing that isn't supposed to be scary, and that was his cat diary, about his wife or fiance or whatever the situation is getting cats, and him having to take care of cats, and that was funny. That was really funny. The art style suits the cats a lot. They look a little freaky, but some cats indeed do look a little freaky in real life. It made sense. I like it. And then I read the big famous Uzumaki with the spirals, and man, I was disappointed. The ending, yes. Not being able to escape the city and whatever, and then eventually just going to the center and doing what the spiral wants and whatever. That's a little bit, unsettling, not being able to escape. But most of the other things, I was looking at them this is carried by the body horror. This is carried by, ew, yucky, that looks gross. Which is not spooky in my opinion, because that's very subjective and depends on people's tolerance, and I have a high tolerance for body horror, or gore, or things that look yucky, or people that look uncanny. I'm not bothered by that much. So that was not scary, which sad, because he is the big scary man. And then I went to bed, and I decided to stop reading horror for a little bit, and I read She and Her Cat, which is a collection of short stories that intertwine about women and the cats they care for, and how they care for each other and stuff. It is nice. It's a little bit weird, but it's translated from Japanese, so it's a different culture, so that makes sense. I read Our Dining Table, which is a one-shot manga, which is just a queer love story kind of thing. I liked it a lot because it didn't have any of the tropes that I usually struggle with in Romance manga, especially queer romance manga. Queer romance manga are often very fetishized and they have very gross age differences, like age gaps of 15 years when the youngest one is barely 20 and stuff like that. I don't like that that's such a common trope. Or they have like really dubious consent or like just really quick open door scenes, and then I'm just also like, that's not what I'm here for, thank you very much. This one was completely safe for work. It was like semi-normal pacing. It's one volume, so it's always going to be a little speedy, but semi-normal pacing, semi-normal situation. There was some tragic backstory drama, but that is always the case, I think. And then the actual communication style was cool and healthy, and the story was wholesome and cute, so I liked it. And then today I read the Gay That Turned Kaiju, which is about a boy who gets bullied and then wishes he was literally anything else, so he turns into a monster. And it's kind of like trying to figure out how to accept yourself and stuff like that. And then he turns back into a human and he realizes that everything's fine. I liked it. It had some unnecessary scenes. And some characters were actually like, why are you like this? But the overall story was nice and the art style is really cool. And I like the concept of physically turning into a monster and that somehow being more palatable for the people around you than your actual identity, and how that is like a major problem. That's where it ends. And then in my currently reading, Remarkably Bright Creatures, halfway through. Shark Heart, I'm like 40% through, so I'm gonna finish it, but I'm also like, why is it taking this long? It's an interesting concept. Like, the guy literally turns into a shark. It's like a magical realism thing. They call it an animal dementia, where you transform into an animal slowly and forget your human memories and relationships. And it's about how the guy has to come to terms with not being able to fulfill his dreams and having to leave behind his wife, and how his wife has to come to terms with the guy turning into a shark, literally. And it's treated like that's like a completely normal thing that can just happen to anyone, and it's like that universe version of cancer, I guess. Like, it just randomly happens to your family and it's devastating, but you can't do anything about it except like ease suffering and try experimental medicines. But it's like, I'm 40% into the book and he's already basically a shark. Like, he is like a day or so away from being released in the ocean. So I don't see what they're gonna do after that, because if he's already lashing out and being actually violent and dangerous, I don't think the lady is gonna be able to go through on her plan to hang out with him in the ocean and get him to remember her. Like, I don't think that's going to work for her. If it does, that's very cool, but also strange. Then I have my books for class going on in here. Historical linguistics, second language acquisition, something about translation, still reading It Came From the Closet, and still working on a primate's memoir. So that was a lot of reading this week. That was like, 15 minutes of me just talking about the things I read. I'm having fun. I am happy that I'm out of my reading slump. The reason I'm out of my reading slump is honestly because I don't have any literature classes this semester. Literature classes and being forced to read something usually makes me not want to read for myself, because reading for class can be very annoying, because if I don't like a book and it's 500 pages, I'll still have to read those 500 pages and it's exhausting, and then I won't want to read for myself, right? Makes sense. Often books for literature classes are fine and enjoyable and respectable, but they come at bad times. Like, I would like them if I read them a month later, kind of thing. Because I'm very much a mood reader, which I think is a common thing. And that makes reading when I have literature classes harder for me, and why I didn't read much at all last year. Not much at all. I read 48 books last year. That is a lot for like the average person. But for me, it's not, because I'm used to reading 100 books a year. So I was like really disappointed, but I was like, wait, all of those books, minus a few manga, all of those books were for literature courses. And literature courses suck my will to read right out of my existence, so it made a lot of sense, and then suddenly I wasn't upset by it anymore. But reading slump is gone. I am enjoying reading. I'm also really enjoying audiobooks, and I'm happy about that, because I used to not be able to like audiobooks because the voices would be off with what I was expecting for the vibe of the book. But I managed to get over that. So that's nice. I hope I find an audiobook service that actually like fits my needs, because a lot of them are very limited, or they are for Dutch specific audiobook services, they only have Dutch literature, and I don't really like hearing things in Dutch anymore. I'm gonna have to get over not wanting to read in Dutch, because I'm gonna work at that bookshop and they mostly have the Dutch bestseller lists, because it's more an office supply store than a bookstore. They just have books. And I do want to know some of the books that we have there, because I want to be able to make recommendations to people. I don't think I'll need to actually do that a lot, but I just want to know about the books they have there. That feels like a part of working there. Don't know if they actually expect me to know anything about the books, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes tomorrow. I am excited. But because I'm excited about reading again, and I also won't have any literature courses anymore, I think, because now I have a bunch of linguistic stuff, and next year I have my teaching minor and then my thesis, and then I'm done. So I don't have any literature stuff anymore. Slay, love that. So I hope I keep my reading momentum, honestly, like I really hope I do, because I started a little book club on Discord. I started a little book club with some people from my real life friend group, with some people from an online crochet friend group that I am in, or like a Discord group, but I consider them friends. I hope that's not weird. We talk a lot. And it's just like recommend books, talk about books, and then if you plan to read a book, say that you're planning to read the book, and see if anyone else is like at that moment wanting to read that book, and you can do a buddy read or a group read and talk about it. And I did that because I really like talking about books, but currently I am reading books that my friends aren't reading. And then I can like tell my boyfriend and be like, hey, this happened in the book and I think it's cool. And he'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool, but he won't actually know what I'm talking about. So that's why I decided to do that, because some of my friends were also like, I want to talk about books with people, but I don't want to find the people that are reading those books online. So it's just like, just say you're going to read a book and hope one of the people here wants to read with you. That's fun. I'm going to put the Discord in the description too, in case you want to read one of those things. I am going to read Diary of a Void next week, which is a book about a woman who fakes a pregnancy for easier social treatment. I think it takes place in Japan because it is translated from Japanese, but I'm already forgetting. She moves away from one company and starts working at another company due to sexual assault and misogyny at her previous company. And she's noticing the same patterns in her new company. So at some point she just says that she's pregnant. And they treat her infinitely better. And she keeps this up everywhere, right? Like she goes to yoga classes or aerobics classes for pregnant women. And she gets to sit down on public transport and stuff like that, and it's all very nice for her. But of course, after a few months, it's gonna get a lot more difficult to pretend that you're pregnant. And then you need an actual baby at the end of it, or pretend something horrible has happened, and then you need to keep that up. So it's like a web of lies type situation, and a societal commentary thing, right? Because the fact that she felt like she had to lie about being pregnant to be treated decently is a social commentary thing. And I found it interesting. I've had this book in my physical collection, like my physical to read pile, for a year now, because I bought it when I got a gift card to a bookshop from a friend, and now I'm finally getting around to reading it. I'm excited. 2 people in the Discord said they want to read it too, so I might get to talk about it with someone that actually read the book. Fun, epic. I am almost at the end of the row of the the blanket, and I'm gonna be making dinner in a bit. Next week I don't have any classes because it's technically carnival, but I don't celebrate that because it's mostly a drinking activity nowadays. I don't like doing that, so I'm gonna take it as a genuine week off. Hopefully I'll get some more crochet done. Hopefully I will have more updates, but I don't know. This was my update for this week. I hope it was interesting in some way. I know it wasn't as thought out as the usual longer talking videos try to be. I'm not gonna claim they are, but try to be. It was mostly just a book review. But someone said they wanted to hear about what I was reading, so I guess it's allowed. It makes sense. If everything goes okay tomorrow and I don't have a horrible day, I will try to update you on how my first day at that job goes, because I think that's always interesting to hear about. And final stitch in this row. Wait. Hold up. Row finished. That's where I'm leaving off on the blanket for right now. I'm gonna work on it some more later and listen to Remarkably Bright Creatures. I'm bad at talking today. I'm bad at talking all week. I noticed this in class too. I was fumbling my words a lot. And it was really silly because at one point we were discussing this phenomenon in children where they swap their letters around to make it easier to vocalize things, right? You also hear this in certain slang or like things from different dialects. A very common one is where they say, when you say ask, normally it's the S and then the K, but a lot of people are saying X, like the K first and then the S. S, not ass. And how that is like a common linguistic thing that happens in a lot of languages over time to the point. But it was interesting, but it was weird to talk about it because it was in the period of time where I was sleepy tired from having some pain issues. And then I was having to like purposefully mix words up and then afterwards do them correctly again. And it was a nightmare. But it was interesting. I loved it. I don't know why I started talking about that. Anyway, I am going to be listening to my audiobookies and reading my actual books. I'm trying to get it in like a little mix so I don't get bored of either of them. And I'm going to be working on the blanket and not on stock because I made a lot of stock and I get to take a little break by doing something easier. I hope you have a nice day. I hope you had a nice week while I was having a really, really non-crochet week. And I hopefully will see you next week.